Hello, everyone, and welcome to EDU TV. I'm delighted to welcome you all to today's very special podcast discussion on a topic that is becoming increasingly relevant for students across the world. Why MUN matters more than ever, building global citizens in an age of AI, polarization, and uncertainty. Today's students are growing up in a rapidly changing world shaped by artificial intelligence, misinformation, global conflicts, climate challenges, and evolving career opportunities. In such a world, skills like communication, diplomacy, leadership, empathy, negotiation, and critical thinking have become more important than ever before. And that is exactly where Model United Nations, or MUN, plays a transformational role. We are honored to have with us two distinguished guests who have immense experience in education and student development. First, we warmly welcome Ms. Nidhi Cherian, Principal, DPS East Cambridge Division, an inspiring education leader known for nurturing confident, future ready learners and promoting holistic education. And joining us as well is Mr. Rishi Jalan, CEO and founder of Big Grade Education, who has been actively empowering students through global learning experiences, innovation, leadership programs, and MUN culture. Thank you both for joining us today on EDU TV.
Children, for that very warm welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Our first question to Ms. Nidhi Cherian. Ma'am, to begin with, why do you think MUN has become more relevant today than it was even a decade ago?
As you students can yourself see, the world is more connected these days, right? You have access to internet. You can see what is happening around the world. If you have any doubt, you go online, you check your chat GPT or Gemini, and you get all the results. But then we are also looking at a world where there is a lot of political instability. It is there. A lot of tensions are happening, and the world is interconnected. But of course, it involves a lot of competing interest. Not every nation's interest is in sync with the other nation. So, in such a scenario, what do we do? Do we, all of us, do we take arms and start fighting, or should we start on the path of communication and diplomacy? So, this is where I believe Model United Nations come in. It is not many a times, many of our students take it as a debating platform. It is not a debating platform. You are given a role, you are thinking in somebody else's shoes, you have a specific role to play, whether you are a director general or a security council person, you have a role. So you are thinking about how that role can make a difference in the world. So we are teaching our children that though the world is increasingly divided, there are a lot of uncertainty. But the most important thing is to keep our communication lines open, trust in diplomacy, speak it out and not fight it out. So that is where I believe MUNs are very relevant, all the more in today's world.
That was very insightful, ma'am. Thank you. My next question is to Mr. Rishi Jalan. So, we are living in the age of artificial intelligence and social media misinformation. How does MUN help students develop critical thinking and responsible decision making skills?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. And thank you, Nidhi ma'am, for those opening remarks. As you all know, I think taking 2 cents from what Nidhi ma'am said, I think in today's world, it is not a lack of information that we're dealing with, but it's sort of a lack of dialogue, right? So in an age where AI can write essays for you, AI can do a lot of things, technical things that probably students want to take help of. I think working on a dialogue, building consensus, and offering a perspective becomes super important from a student's mind, right? So, for example, if one of you student maybe has a very liberal thought towards the world, could be economic, could be social, but you are becoming a delegate for Saudi Arabia, right? You will have to change your perspective as to how a country thinks, what cultural aspects really dominate their point of view, and makes you join in a very global debating format in that sense. So I feel in the field in this age of AI, right, you can get a lot of perspectives, but then to develop your own mindset and how you want to sort of take it forward. I think MUN offers a brilliant format where, as Nidhi ma'am pointed out, once again, it's not really just debating, but it's once again, I'll say, building consensus. So I think that's where MUNs really help us and just open up a whole new world in the age of AI for young students.
Thank you so much, sir. That was a great perspective shared. Our next question to ma'am. Many students hesitate to speak publicly or express their opinions confidently. How does participation in MUN help students overcome fear and become effective communicators?
I come from a village in central Kerala. Okay. So, but I did not had the fear of public speaking. But then when you get out of your comfort zone, when I moved out of my state to a different one, maybe one which is much better, not better in certain areas, you may have this fear in your mind, how am I going to approach this particular audience? That is quite natural. And I remember telling my students, when you are on a public platform, do not look at the face, if as a starting point. Imagine that every person in the audience has an apple on their head, and look at that imaginary apple, and then just start talking. So my point is, yes, MUN gives you, in a certain smaller scale in your school. Of course, there will be students of your age who might have joined the MUN from other schools, but it is your peer group. So you're going to talk in front of your peer group, and that may give you a little bit of comfort. And all your roles and positions are given to you prior. So I believe, as a student, you must be thoroughly prepared. So if you are prepared, that gives you confidence to go out there and talk. See, it is not every time it is about how to go and stand there. It is about how much you have internalized. So if you have internalized your matter thoroughly, if you have done your homework, your um, confidence with which you can grapple that particular issue. It can be climate change, it can be migration, it can be public health, whatever is the issue, whichever is the country given to you. If you know your matter thoroughly, there is nothing that stops you. So it depends on how much work you have done. Like I said, I may have a different background. Every child comes from a different background, right? But then what is that one thing that sort of equalizes? That is your preparation. A few other people may have certain other advantages. But if you are prepared, you have done your homework, like I said before, there is nothing that stops you. And I would like to add one more thing which came to my mind. I don't know whether you have heard about this poem Caged Bird by Maya Angelou. She is an American writer. She talks about how everyone has aspirations. Okay, everybody, almost everybody these days are very much ambitious, but not everybody will have the same opportunity as others. Like a person who is coming from a tier 2 or 3 or a rural village in India may not have the same exposure as a tier 1 city student. But then, like I said, what should you do? You should do your work. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That was so informative. My next question is to Sir. MUN often requires negotiation, collaboration, and diplomacy. How important are these skills for future leadership in today's competitive world?
Well, thank you for that question. I think all of those skills are super important. I think once again, and let me also sort of take. I think Maya Angelou is one of my favorite poets as well, right? And one of the quotes, and sort of this goes towards negotiation as well. One of her quotes she said was, and this I'm speaking verbatim, is that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel, right? So I think this brings in a big element of empathy, of leadership, and how you have to like sort of navigate the world through leadership and through negotiations. So I feel that once again in an MUN, it's not just dialogue, right, or just speaking by yourself, but it is a true coalition building, right, that you have to do. And I think once people, of course, you have your background guides, you know which country you're representing. Hopefully, even the issues, when we run an MUN, we make sure that the students get an opportunity to choose some of their top committees that they would want to be a part of. So you might want space exploration, you might be again, as Nidhi ma'am said, really passionate about migration, or might be passionate about one particular topic. Once you really delve into all of these nuances, it really helps you to then figure out, how you can negotiate. And I must say that I think it's not fair to say that MUNs are just for extroverts, right? I think some of the most powerful delegates who come and participate are really active listeners. They are, as I once again said, coalition builders. They want to take people along with them. And there's a lot of research that goes in as well, and a lot of writing, resolutions, and position papers as well. So I think this whole thing of MUN just being there for the strongest speakers and the strongest voice in the room is not correct, but it's really the voice of reason that MUN I feel really pushes. And yes, it's a lot more than speaking. So I feel all of those qualities, whether that's research, coalition building, writing, all of those elements come in for a delegate, and not just the loudest voice in the room.
Thank you so much, sir. That quote is going to be with me for long. Our
I
next
would
question.
like to add one thing there to what Mr. Rishi said. This point of time, I think, Mr. Rishi, what you said about building consensus is very important. And, and our students need to be taught how to defend positions using evidence rather than emotion. That is what's happening a lot in today's political scenario. Yes, dear, go ahead.
Our next question is for you, ma'am. One interesting aspect of MUN is that students represent countries and viewpoints different from their own. How does this experience help students become more empathetic and globally aware?
Yes, see, when you're representing a country, I believe you will inevitably understand the geopolitical reality of that particular country. And then you, as a person, is engaging with perspectives beyond your own, correct? So you will be suddenly able to see why a person from the other end of the world is thinking in a certain way. uh, they, like I said in the beginning, geopolitical realities are different for people from different parts of the world. So when you are given a country, you are also examining the history of that country, and you are understanding why certain conflicts exist in those countries. So with all this information, you are trying to build consensus right? And like I said before, we will work with evidence, understanding the emotion of the people of that particular area. So at the end of it, what we get is a group of students who understand the humaneness of everything, how to be more empathetic, how to understand how and why people of a certain region thinks in a certain way, acts in a certain way, what is prompting them, what is pushing them to think in that way. So yes, that is why I believe students will humanize the global community. It is just because there is a line drawn by somebody else does not mean that the people are entirely different. Their ideas, their thoughts might be different because of certain reasons. And through MUNs, you will understand those reasons, and you will understand that basically everybody is more or less the same. So you need not fight and kill, and where you can have communication and diplomacy and try to build a better world for everybody. So I think that is for you, the girls of Maxfort and all the students out there, that how we build a better world. That is ultimately we are teaching, and that is our aim, how to build a better world. Yes, so I believe MUNs will help in improving the empathy quotient.
Thanks for sharing your perspective, ma'am. My next question to sir is that today's universities across India and abroad look beyond academics. Do activities like MUN genuinely strengthen college applications and future career readiness?
Well, a short answer definitely would be yes. I personally hate the word profile building for some reason. I think it's character building that you do beyond the classroom. That's sort of our tagline as well. Um, Not just MUNs. I think any platform that makes you look beyond what you're doing within your full, your confines of your classroom is really people, not just in the universities, but as employers, as people, we want students who can think beyond their own perspectives, right? I think this really helps when you're in a board meeting. You do not want to just put your perspectives, but you want to take other perspectives as well. So in terms of college readiness, yes, as I said, there are a lot of different skills, right? So it starts with research, it starts with active listening, right? Then you have argumentation, synthesis, coalition building. All of these aspects are very, very important when you go to college, and then you go beyond college and you enter the workforce. So in that respect, yes, it works really well. Especially some of the MUNs that we do, we organize. For example, we have the Ivy League MUN, which is official, UPenn's MUN. I think when you have the different international MUNs and you get to participate in them, you get to know different procedures, different structures, and are able to then work not just beyond, for example, not just in a region. For example, when you have your own school MUN, probably at Maxfort, you would get a lot of students from Delhi, right? And they have one perspective. But when you participate in an international MUN, where you have students from around the country, for example, even out here, we have students coming from Afghanistan, from Sri Lanka, from Nepal. And when you really work and engage with those students, and even students, for example, from Kerala or Tamil Nadu, from the south of the country, you really see how different perspectives can come together and take you forward. So I think all of these skills beyond the certification of an Ivy League college that you get is way beyond, also because it's a residential aspect to it, right? So you're becoming friends with fellow, just in a UN, you're becoming friends with fellow delegates. You're doing coalition building even outside of your committee rooms. So I think it's very, very essential for colleges to see that you can do it, and it's the power of not what you're saying, but how you are saying it, and what has got you to that perspective. So even for colleges, it's very important for them not what you're doing, but why are you doing what you're doing, right? So I think all of that comes in, and I've seen students who get motivated through their committees and want to take it forward, right? So whether it's climate change or caring about animals in their country and different crises that's happening, I feel it's super important for both college readiness and readiness in the outside world. So all the 5 or 6 things that I said, once again, research, diplomacy, writing, public speaking, and then mostly working on empathy and coalition building is everything that colleges look for and for to succeed as a citizen as well.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing that. Our next question is to ma'am. Can MUN benefit students even if they do not wish to enter politics or international relations? How useful are these skills in careers like business, law, media, entrepreneurship, or technology?
See, like Mr. Rishi just said, that it is patience, it is nuance, it is diplomacy, it is listening, it is intellectual discipline that MUN teaches you. Yes, there are additional aspects, like you will learn about a country, you will learn about the people, you will learn about the working of MUN. All that is right. But beyond that, like Mr. Rishi was saying, it is about character building. Okay, it is about listening, it is about academic writing, it is about intellectual discipline. So it is all these aspects that will help you to grow as an individual. So I do not think it was ever about getting into politics or about getting into your United Nations or any of those work areas, though I'm sure it will help. I believe it was not entirely about that. It was about the character development, where ultimately you will have all these diplomatic skills, listening skills, writing skills, patient, empathy. All these things are coming into the picture, and that is why MUNs are important, not as a path to a particular job, but towards one's own. I will also not use profile building now, character development.
Thank you, ma'am. My next question is to sir. Many students feel MUN is only for highly confident speakers. What advice would you give to beginners or first time delegates who want to participate?
Perfect. And I think this is your last question as well. And so I will quickly also take in from a little bit of segment from the last question. Think about if you want to become a lawyer, right? You have to present your arguments in the best way possible. You do that in MUNs. You have to write briefs. You can do that. If you are an entrepreneur, you have to convince people, right, in what you believe in, and you have to sell a product, and you have to tell them how my product is better. You're trying to do the same thing, right? There are different resolutions flying around in the committee room, and you're trying to tell them, no, this is the resolution that should be passed, and not something else. So I think in all of these ways, when you look at persuasion, when you look at again, negotiations in the world of business, in the world of law, it really helps you, right? So I think it really truly gives you some real world skills in a very short, moderated, short span of time. So I think it's really good, because when you're in the room, you have to take that decision right away. You can't go back to your computers to do that. So that's one. In the second phase, sort of your last question on what advice I would give to the young students. We start really young, especially with grade 8 students who are first-time MUNers, to really just, again, do a lot of research. There's so many videos out there where you can really train yourself to become a better munner. Practice when you are sitting on a dinner table with your parents, talk about these global issues that might concern you, right? I think you want to start small. Again, if you bring a perspective even from your own state and you talk about it, Maybe your parents are from different states, right? And have had different upbringing. When you talk about these issues, that will give you the perspective from someone else. So do that research, go online, look at some of the videos that are out there for MUN, talk, debate with your own peer group and your parents. And I think when you start there, automatically, when you go into the bigger rooms, you go into the bigger international MUNs, you will become a lot better, both, once again, in terms of not just speaking, but in terms of how your perspectives are coming in and how you're able to defend them. So I think just small steps really help. So to all the first-time MUNers, I think that really helped me and hopefully will help other young students as well.
Thank you, sir. Those were some great tips. Now let's spice things up. We'll have a rapid fire round, a small rapid fire round. So our first question, ma'am, one word that defines a future ready student.
Diplomatic.
That's right. For sir, one skill every student must develop before entering college.
Resilience.
And this one is for both of you. MUN in one sentence.
Please go ahead.
A warrior in a complex world.
Oh, that's great. That's a great answer.
I do not think I have a better version than that, so we will go with what Mr. Rishi has said.
I think we know the winner now. Thank you so much, ma'am and sir, for sharing such valuable insights with us today. Today's discussion clearly showed that MUN is not just an academic activity, it is a platform that shapes confident communicators, empathetic leaders, critical thinkers, and responsible global citizens. In a world driven by AI and constant change, human skills like diplomacy, collaboration, public speaking, and emotional intelligence will continue to matter immensely. We truly appreciate your time, guidance, and inspiring thoughts. On behalf of EDU TV, I extend our sincere gratitude to Nidhi Cherian and Rishi Jalan for joining us and enriching this conversation with their experience and vision. And thank you to all our viewers for tuning in. Stay connected with EDU TV for more inspiring conversations shaping the future of education and youth leadership. Thank you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, students. All the very best to you both.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having us.